Why is Nations the dice game great?
Nations gives you multiple paths to victory, and I think that's one of the great things is if I have a bad roll and all I get are books, that's okay. Books will last me several rounds. If all I get are stone, I can build, and those points last me each round. If all I get are gold, I can buy. If I get swords or whatever. The only thing I don't like are leaves, which seem to only count here. You don't buy anything with leaves. But other than that, there are multiple paths to victory, and I think that's the beauty of it.
For me, I've always loved Civilization building games. I've played Sid Meier's Civilization computer game like the day it came out with my 1 megabyte of RAM on the computer. I never thought I'd need more than that. This game is by far the most Civilization building in the shortest span of time. I mean, it's literally 15 minutes per player, and the box doesn't lie. Sometimes a game will say this game should take 60 to 90 minutes, and 4 hours later, you're going through the rule book scratching your head. This game, it's really 15 minutes per player, and at the end of it, my nation is my nation. Tesla's my leader. I've got a printing press. I've got all these things that don't really matter. You don't have to pay attention to the theme, but when you think about it, it does feel like you're building a nation. And there have been times where I've gotten into smack talking. We've played it before where you're like, your nation's a bunch of... You can have a strategy, but it's really tactical in that the board is ever changing and the dice rolling dictates what you're able to do. So you have to decide when to cut and run when it comes to books. And are you going to go for swords? Are you going to, diversify?
Yeah, one of the things is you notice here like the disparity between swords and leaves that you have to get those victory points. Whereas, like for example, on the other two on this, you can see you would have had to have 5 leaves, which is rare. I don't think there's anything that produces multiple leaves. Well, the gold.
The gold is, but
gold
then
dice, but it only gives you 2. So
right.
Like for example, this is the only one that's worth anything. For 3 leaves gives you 4 victory points. That's the only value leaves have. Well, now if I have a crappy roll, I want to stick with those leaves. There's value to keeping them.
Yeah, well, it was the difference between you winning and losing the game. It could have been.
You're right. The other thing I really like about this game is when you get one of these traded in, then you can spend one. So there's like an instant gratification of I've already spent this die, but I can go get another one and re-roll them and I get value. There's a psychological thing about...
It's a reward.
I get a reward right now. That just feels good to be able to do that during the middle of a game. If I've spent something, but I get to unspend it and I've got something to show for it now.
Again, anytime you have dice, there's some luck involved, and the random placement of the board each era dictates this tile might be worth... It costs 3 swords in this game, but it might only be cost 1 in another game.
Right.
And I like that you have to adapt to that. But also, I like the way it progresses. In the first and second age, most of these tiles are you gaining more dice. And then later on, it's all about building and getting victory points. And so the first 2 eras, you have to decide, do I get an easy victory point or do I build my engine so that I can score later in the game by having the ability to roll 3 stones and then score something that gets you 7 victory points at the end.
This one here that you just built, what is it? It took 3 stone to build and it gave you 4 victory points. I believe I had the choice between that one and this one at the start, but I didn't have the 6 stone. So I had to re-roll in hopes to get it so that I could get more victory points, more value for those. Or did I want to take that one first because I didn't know so you were the first player, so you re-rolled. Now, do I go for that, the sure thing? Or do I gamble to get this? Because you could always take that off the table before it's my turn.
Well, the other thing is, if you had taken... I was afraid you were going to take it, and I can only afford to pay 3 because of my rolls, and I was trying to maintain my lead in the books. So if you had taken this first, I would have been stuck with the next best thing as a 5, and I'm not sure I could have attained that. So I think I would have lost points for sure. I don't think I could have re-rolled. I would have had to re-roll some of these with the swords that don't have a high level of stone probability, and I would have lost that bonus. My reds were all tied up to get those 4 points. I was behind the 8 ball at the end.
Yeah, I think that one of the good things I like about this game is randomized placement. You mentioned that. That's great. Is that this could cost you 2, it could cost you 3, it could cost you 1, just random. But the other is early on, do I trade a sword for a stone? Then I know I'm going to get that stone every time.
Rest of the game.
Well, what if I don't have a building engine? What if at the end of the game I'm not building anything? Well, I may have wasted that. Or maybe that one stone lets me build in round 3 and it lets me build in round 4. That could make the difference between 8 or 12 victory points. But it cost me a sword, but maybe it cost me 4 victory points here as well. So it's a lot of thinking. But again, this is another one of those games that doesn't punish you too bad for an early mistake. You have chances to recover.
And I can understand why some people would probably look at this and think, man, it doesn't have an epic feel to it. It's not, you don't really feel like you're building a civilization. But I think there are plenty of games that do that. And most of them take 2+ hours.
That's right.
Some of them take 4+ hours. And this game, literally, even with 4 players, you can finish it in under an hour every time. And you still get the itch scratched a little bit for this type of game.
That's
and
it.
So you can play a different game, end this game all in one evening, or you can play, this game is based on Nations, a bigger box game that's not a dice game. And it's a great game, but it takes a long time and it's got a high learning curve, and this doesn't. So I think this fits a space that not too many games can do successfully, and that's why I think it's great. It's always one that I will play no matter what.
Yeah, and also point out it's not age limited. You can also, I played with my 2 young nephews as well. I taught them within an hour and 15 minutes. We had a 4-player game. To where we were able to teach them. We all played, and one of the nephews won on his first try. So you can teach someone younger, and you can play. You get that value out of it as well.
Yeah. All right. On a scale of 1 to great, where would you put this game?
Better than decent.
I'm going to put it at great for this game because there's nothing else I'm aware of that does what this does so quickly.